After watching this video, hopefully you'll be able to understand which players in this year's 2024 NBA draft will become superstars, or at least significantly better than everyone thought. Okay, so getting straight to the point, the secret way NBA teams, GMs, and casual fans like you and me figure out which players in this year's draft will be superstars is understanding which archetypes work and which don't. An archetype is basically a specific play style. For those younger viewers who are gamers and play NBA 2K, you know exactly what I mean. Every era has a specific archetype, or even a few archetypes that dominate the league. The 1980s and 90s saw the traditional center archetype at the height of its power. These players were the anchors of the teams, dominating the paint on both ends of the floor with their size, strength, and skill. Icons like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, and David Robinson epitomized this archetype. Abdul-Jabbar's skyhook was an unguardable weapon, while Olajuwon's dream shake displayed a level of footwork rarely seen in 7-footers. These centers controlled the glass, protected the rim, and were the focal points of their team's offenses, often playing through the post. The power forward archetype in the 80s and 90s was defined by players who combined physicality with skill. Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, and Kevin McHale were among the most notable. Malone, known as the mailman, was a scoring machine with a lethal mid-range game and a relentless work ethic. Barkley, despite being undersized for his position, used his extraordinary strength and athleticism to dominate the boards and score in the paint. McHale's footwork and post moves made him a nightmare for defenders. Those power forwards were not just bruisers. They were skilled scorers and rebounders who could impact the game in multiple ways. The concept of the point forward began to gain traction in the 80s with players like Larry Bird and Scottie Pippen, redefining the role of forwards in the NBA. Bird, a 3-time MVP, was known for his incredible basketball IQ, shooting, and passing. He could orchestrate the offense from the forward position, making him a unique weapon for the Boston Celtics. Pippen, alongside Michael Jordan, was instrumental in the Chicago Bulls dynasty. His defensive versatility, ability to handle the ball, and playmaking skills made him a prototype for future generations of versatile forwards. The athletic small forward archetype was embodied by players like Dominique Wilkins and James Worthy. Wilkins, known as the human highlight film, was one of the most electrifying dunkers and scorers of his era. Worthy, a key player for the Showtime Lakers, combined speed, agility, and scoring ability to thrive in fast break situations. These players brought a blend of athleticism and skill that made them potent offensive threats and capable defenders. The 80s and 90s were the golden age for scoring shooting guards, led, of course, by the iconic Michael Jordan. Jordan's combination of athleticism, skill, and competitive drive made him arguably the greatest player of all time. His ability to score from anywhere on the court, along with his defensive ability, set the standard for future generations. Other notable shooting guards included Clyde Drexler and Reggie Miller. Drexler's all-around game and Miller's deadly three-point shooting made them perennial all-stars and key figures in their team's success. Magic Johnson and John Stockton were the quintessential playmaking point guards of this era. Johnson, standing at 6'9", revolutionized the position with his size and court vision. He was the engine of the Showtime Lakers, orchestrating fast breaks and making everyone around him better. Stockton, the all-time leader in assists and steals, was the epitome of efficiency and precision. His pick-and-roll partnership with Karl Malone was one of the most effective in NBA history. These point guards were maestros who controlled the tempo of the game and set up their teammates with pinpoint passes. And of course, defense was a cornerstone of success in the 80s and 90s. And players like Dennis Rodman, Dikembe Mutombo, and Hakeem Olajuwon set the standard for defensive excellence. Rodman, despite his eccentric personality, was a tenacious rebounder and versatile defender who could guard multiple positions. Mutombo's shot-blocking prowess and finger-wagging celebration made him a feared presence in the paint. Olajuwon, known for his defense as much as his offense, was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. These players anchored their team's defenses and made it difficult for opposing offenses. Perimeter defense was equally crucial, with players like Gary Payton and Joe Dumars excelling in this role. Payton, known as the Glove, was a relentless on-ball defender who could shut down the league's best guards. Dumars, a key member of the Detroit Pistons' Bad Boys, was known for his disciplined defense and ability to guard multiple positions. These perimeter defenders took pride in their ability to lock down opponents and were essential to their team's success. The role of the sixth man gained prominence in the 80s and 90s, with players like Kevin McHale before becoming a starter, and Detlef Schrempf thriving in this role. These players brought scoring, energy, and versatility off the bench, providing a crucial spark for their teams. McHale's post moves and Schrempf's all-around game made them invaluable assets in their team's rotations. Then, of course, every successful team had a glue guy, a player who did the little things that didn't always show up in the stat sheet. Players like Horace Grant and Robert Horry exemplified this archetype. Grant's rebounding, defense, and mid-range shooting were key to the Bulls' early 90s championships. Horry, known for his clutch shooting, played a vital role in multiple championships with different teams. These players were the unsung heroes who contributed to their team's success in a myriad of ways. Out of all of those popular archetypes during those times, the archetype that was most successful during the 80s was the athletic scoring forward. Out of the top 10 players who scored the most points in the 80s, only 2 of them weren't forwards. They were actually centers, Kareem and Moses Malone. Alex English, Larry Bird, George the Iceman Gervin, Dominique Wilkins, Reggie Theus, Mark Aguirre, and Mike Mitchell were all the athletic forwards who put the ball in the hoop at a high level. So if you wanted to draft a superstar or a really good player, these were the types of players you needed to draft to ensure those results. In the 90s, things started to change. Out of the 10 players who scored the most points in the 90s, there were 4 centers in the top 6, and Charles Barkley was at the 9th spot. So it's clear the big men were dominating now on a larger scale, with the exceptions of Michael Jordan, of course. If you wanted to ensure you draft a superstar, you needed to go after a bruising big man with elite skill, which is why Shaquille O'Neal was drafted first overall in 1992, and Tim Duncan was drafted in 1997, also first overall. And man, did it pay off big time for both teams and players. Well, not Orlando, but certainly the Los Angeles Lakers. Fast forwarding to the 2010s, things changed again. Instead of true big men dominating the game, it went back to athletic forwards, and elite guard play was at an all-time high as well. LeBron James was already one of the NBA's most prominent stars, but his decision to join the Miami Heat in 2010 alongside Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh took his career to another level. This move marked the beginning of an era of player empowerment and super teams. In Miami, LeBron's game evolved and he became a more efficient scorer and a better defender. LeBron led the Heat to 4 consecutive NBA Finals appearances from 2011 to 2014, winning 2 championships in 2012 and 2013. His 2012 Finals performance, particularly his 45-point game in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics, solidified his reputation as a clutch performer. In 2013, LeBron's crucial three-pointer in Game 6 of the Finals against the San Antonio Spurs and his overall Finals MVP performance were instrumental in securing back-to-back titles. In 2014, LeBron returned to the Cleveland Cavaliers, promising to deliver a championship to his home state. This journey culminated in 2016 when LeBron led the Cavaliers to a historic comeback from a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors.